Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing the sequel video to my previous video on the lovers to friends. Today we're doing enemies to lovers, which everyone loves apparently. I don't hate enemies to lovers, but sometimes I hate when they're not necessarily enemies. Like it's not a mutual enemy. They're not like they both don't like hate each other. It's like one-sided. I don't like you, so I'm gonna annoy you. I'm gonna bother you. I'm gonna be in your space. I'm gonna bully you because I don't like you. I'm not a fan of that because it's like you got nothing else to do with your day. You out here a full 25-year-old bullying your peer because you don't like them. It's giving Helga from Hey Arnold, which is really juvenile, and I just can't rock with that trope too much because of that. But like, there's lots of times where they do the trope very well, and it's a good like tension between the characters, a believable tension. There's a reason why they have tension, and I just feel like I want more shows that have more nuance to it, more reasons to be antagonistic rather than just being that way. Especially if it's they're gonna prolong it, because sometimes you don't have to be enemies forever up until episode 9. Like we can episode 4 we're done with that. We're cool now, or we just stay away from each other. Like either or, we can do that. But sometimes these shows don't like to do that. Like to drag it all out forever. Okay, like with the last video, we're going to go on the Absolute BL Tumblr and see their synopsis of it and check out some of the couples that fall under the trope. I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions on these couples. You guys should do the same. I would greatly appreciate it. Yeah, let's get right into it. Okay, so it says here, enemies to lovers can become friends to lovers, especially if forced proximity is applied, which that does happen. They have to be around each other, so they kind of like talk, understand each other more, and that whole antagonistic dynamic goes away because you're cool with that person now. So that's very true. A good example of this is 3 Will Be Free. Oh my god, I love 3 Will Be Free. That's like my favorite, which is technically suspense with a romance thread. Yeah, it's not a romance show at all, but they have romance in it, which I like. I'd rather have a show that's like one genre with romance underneath it. Like I guess the shows we get here in the States, there's lots of shows with a clear set premise or setting, and then like underneath that romance and stuff happens throughout the show, rather it being the thread, the plot. You know what I mean? It follows enemies to lovers, two lovers pattern as a result of them being on the run together. That did happen. You'll be free. My all-time favorite twist on the enemies to lovers is rivals to lovers. Rivals to lovers? You know what? I like that more because they have a reason to be antagonistic. Yeah, that's the one I like more. You being a rival, you have a similar goal. Someone's in your way, and you butt heads because of they're in your way. I like that more. Rivals to lovers. Okay. This particular variant can only exist in queer narratives. It's the reason Fish Upon a Sky is the most anticipated boys' love of 2021. Okay, so this is definitely in the past. Fish Upon a Sky, Fish Upon a Sky has been out since this post, obviously. That show was crunchy to me. I don't know about y'all, but that I haven't finished it. It just wasn't a tea. But they also mention Pure and Folk and My Gear in Your Gown. Oh my gosh, I love My Gear in Your Gown. That was such a fun show to react to with Alex. It was everything. Okay, so the first pair we're going to talk about is Tarn from Tarn the series. For those who don't know, Tarn was the very first series that I reacted to on my channel. I had been watching all these shows before that on my own throughout the years, and then when I started reacting to it, Tarn was the one I started with. Now, when I did that, they came the backlash. The backlash came because I was dragging these characters left and right. They were awful towards each other almost constantly, and I wasn't with it. Obviously, I didn't read the novel, but the novel thumpers came through typing in my comment section about me missing key context that the show left out and the book had. So my opinion on what was happening was wrong because this show didn't showcase what was in the book, which isn't my fault. I'm basing my reaction on the show's narrative. If it's missing some things, oh well. These characters are acting a certain way, and then even then, even then, when people try to explain the context, it didn't change my opinion. He still forced himself on him. He still said those things. They physically assaulted each other. Like all these things are happening with this pair that was so uncomfortable. I can't like get my life to. I can't praise it. There's nothing wrong with having tension. You guys kind of work through your differences and become lovers. Hello, enemies to lovers. But they were so awful to each other in different ways at different times. It's hard to even root for them in the end. I wasn't like go off kings at the end. Now I did more or less forget their situation when we had a clear, intense antagonist at the end. So by the end of it, I was kind of like, not forgetting, but like it wasn't the focus of the show. They're, with each other. So we've had someone else to focus on. So when I saw them in YRU, I'll admit, I was excited to see them in there. I'm like, oh my gosh. But at the same time, I was like, this pair isn't, yeah, they might have bust down with some ice and like got their, did the do, and they are more mature looking characters and actors, so they're not falling in that little, young demographic. But besides that, it was crunchy crunch. It wasn't my cup of tea. Um, I just wasn't rocking with this pair. I wasn't rooting for them, and I still don't. I still don't. And I didn't see the second season. I didn't see the marriage episodes. I don't know anything about that, but I don't care to. Next we have is Pete and Cal from Kiss Me Again. Okay. So Tay and Nu are probably one of my favorite pairs in like all the GMTV pairings they've done. Mostly because I'm a big fan of Tay Tawan. So like I'm a stan, whoever he's like, and I do like New. I remember seeing Nui and like Waterboy, and like I've seen him in different shows and stuff. Sodas, and I always thought he was cool as well. So that they're paired up in this show, I was like, okay, slay. In the first Kiss Me, they were kind of like very very minor supporting characters, and their like relationship was like brought up at the end. Like, oh by the way, they've been booed up, and then we see the prequel to that, and then the sequel to that with Dark Blue Kiss. Their enemies to lovers situation was very interesting because I was like, damn, they're really out here fighting each other physically for like 9 episodes, and now all of a sudden they're like booed up, and it was weird because like I don't care for that, but there didn't seem to be any lingering feelings of love throughout the fighting. So I was like, okay, they really don't like each other, and they really are fighting each other. And yeah, they had like that falling kiss trope, and like there's instances where they had to be nice to each other because of the collective they were in, the group, and they had to like they're not monsters, even though they don't like each other. Now I still don't care for their dynamic being that way, especially for how long it happened. But what I do like is that when they decided to be a couple, they weren't trying to be a couple right away. They had to like come correct. Which one was it? Was it I think Cal told Pete like, "Hey, I'm not about to." Oh, who was who? I keep forgetting who was who in the pairing in these shows I've seen. I forgot who played who. My God, but you know what I mean. One of them was like, "I'm not gonna be with you because we've been fighting for weeks, for days. We even just boot up after all that." And I love that. I love that he stood his ground. I was like, no, you have to show me, you have to treat me right. Because he was nicer of the two comparatively. I think Pete was a little more aggressive on all the time, the instigator of their fights mostly. So of course, Cal was like, we ain't finna get together because you want us to be together. You have to show me something different. I love that. I love that. He said to him, he's like, no, you ain't finna play me. Now that kind of went away in Dark Blue Kiss, which I hated because he was really setting his ground. But in Dark Blue Kiss, Pete was being ridiculous, being jealous, being possessive, being unreasonable, and Cal had to like sneak around and like do things. So it made their dynamic worse, their relationship worse because of it, because of the line and stuff. So I'm like, why'd you could have pumped the brakes on him. Hey, I need to make this money, help my mom out. I understand you don't like this boy I'm tutoring, but I got nothing to do with me. I'm keeping it professional. I'm not gonna kick you with him outside of work. Yeah, he over here trying to flirt with me, but I'm not trying to see all that. I'm here for you. Like he could have done things differently. I wish he would have, but I do like this pair, but I'm biased towards the actors. So now we have Fighter and Tutor from Why Are You? This pair, it was a whirlwind. I will say, I had so much fun. The most fun reacting to this show. It was the second show after Tarn Type that I reacted to, which completely changed the dynamic of my channel. Everyone who hated me before because of Tarn Type loved me during the Why Are You era, and I loved myself during that time. I would rewatch my reactions to the show because I was cutting up. Not to sound conceited, but it was so funny. It was such a good time. Um, Now this pair, Fighter and Tutor, they're like the main focus of the show, even though it wasn't presented that way in the beginning. I thought the other pair was going to be the main focus, but they became the main focus. Um, they had the potential to have more complex storylines than they did, especially with the whole Tudor owing money and yeah, Peter's dad being like you can't be gay and do all like there's so many things that made it more fleshed out and made more nuanced, but then it got lost in translation after a while because Fighter was being such a jerk and like he's like the bully that he likes him, but he's being a jerk to him most times. And then out of nowhere, they're like, okay, we're gonna get booed up, which is fine. Like they became a couple, and like it was like refreshing, I guess. But it became well, COVID happened, so like they had to like stop production. So we had a bunch of episodes where they were just hanging out on the beach for several episodes. I think two different times. There's one episode that it was like a compilation of them just hanging out all day, and I know they had to halt production, so the storylines had to be halted. And because of it, I was like, oh my god, we ain't doing nothing. We're not doing anything but hanging out, and it's not that interesting anymore. But also, I was really rocking with this couple in the beginning, but at the end, I wasn't when Fighter forced himself onto Tudor because he had broke up with him because his daddy intervened. Tudor had broken up with him, and he had like was upset and all these things, and Tudor couldn't tell him why, because of the dad and stuff, and so he decided to attack him. I was over at that point. I was. And I remember seeing one of my peers say, well, he didn't tell him why he broke up with him. He wasn't communicating that. And he was, and he didn't go all the way when he attacked him. So for me, I don't care about that. Your intentions were to do this and you did this to someone. I'm not with it. Now, if he would have been like, you know what, I'm going to get help because I want to be better for you, I would have been like, okay, work. Y'all becoming a couple again. I'm with it now because you're getting the help you need to control your anger. Obviously, you need therapy as well because of your dad's manipulation and what he was doing to you, make you think things and do things. So you saying I'm gonna use my money to get therapy to get help so I can be a better person for you because I know you love me, I love you, but I did this to you. I would have rocked with it, but instead he was like, I'm booking us a trip to the beach again. What? And like, yeah, Tudor forgave him and like whatever, but I ain't forgive him. I wasn't with it by the end, so I wasn't, rocking with them by the end. But it was a good show to watch. Like it was, I don't think it's a good show, but it was fun to watch. It was so fun, but like, ugh. Next we have this Kung Pop and Artit from Sodus. Now, this show is the definition of a reason to not like each other. We had the whole hazing situation and he being so oppressive towards the younger classmen is like in the SOTUS program, and then Kung Pao standing up to him, and then having that dynamic of actually having a reason to like combat each other. But then Kung Pao became very creepy and annoying when he started having feelings. He was popping up on him and doing these things, and he was just doing so much that whatever ooey gooey feeling I wanted to feel wasn't there because it wasn't mutual. Because obviously our head was like wasn't rocking with it. Was annoyed, was uncomfortable, and they only became lovers at the end when he was like realizing all the time they spent together that he against his will, honestly, that he was like, okay, maybe I do love him. Maybe I would like the way they that narrative how they did the narrative was very crunchy to me. I never cared for it. However, I didn't care for them in Sodas, and I damn sure didn't care for them in Sodas too. They just reset everything in Sodas too, and Compound was extra annoying in that one as well. But in Our Sky, I love them. They seem to like each other mutually. Arhit still was kind of in his ways, but he you can clearly tell he was Compound was his man, and he was there for his man, especially the way he acted and talked towards him during Our Sky was so refreshing. I was rocking with them then. I sure was. I was like, okay, y'all got me. Because before, y'all got on my nerves. But now I'm on your team. I'm rooting for you. This is what I kind of wanted for you guys in the beginning. But the whole, like, enemies to lovers and then doing it again in the second series, like, it was just too much. And it was annoying. But now I'm fine. But in Soda's context by itself, no, ma'am. This couple, no. The last pair we have on the list is Doin and Bone from My Engineer. I highly dislike them. When I tell you, I never met a pair that was so insufferable than these two. Like we had Bone being so like he was the one who the couple itself. They were the first couple to come a couple, but they weren't really couple like because Doan was not really comfortable with affection and being with him for real. So I'm not sure why he was a couple with him, like paired up with him. And then Bone was very aggressive. Like he had to learn a lesson each episode. Like he had to learn not to be so jealous and possessive and physically aggressive all the time. He will apologize for it and then do it again the next day. That's their cycle. That was their cycle, and I was like, I hate this. This isn't enjoyable. This isn't fun. This isn't we. You're doing the same thing 4 or 5 times, and then they have the situation when they were like broke up and they were in the forest because homeboy kissed him, and he's like, it was so messy for no reason, and the couple wasn't really gave you the feels. Like the second couple gave you the feels. They are the real MVP of the show. Even Raymond King, even though Raymond King didn't have too much nuance to their love story, I was even rocking with them more so than our main couple. You know what I mean? Oh my god, these two got on my nerves. Got on my goddamn nerves. You don't understand. But I did enjoy watching My Engineer. Just these two really drove me off the wall all the goddamn time, and I just can't with them. They're the worst. Not the worst, but like one of the worst pairings ever. Ugh. All right, guys, we're at the end of our enemies to lovers couple trope analysis, whatever you want to call it. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on these couples. Let me know any other couples that fall in this trope that you love, that you dislike. I'm very curious to see. I guess I have honorable mention. This list is pretty old, but I would have put the main characters from My Secret Love on here. They had a reason to be enemies, and they weren't enemies for long. They became friends, and then eventually lovers. And then when they fought again, they had a reason to fight because he had poisoned that one guy, and it was a whole thing. But like he apologized. Like their relationship was a fresher take on this. I loved it, so I want to mention them. They're probably one of my favorites of the enemies to lovers, honestly speaking. But yeah, let me know what you guys think below. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.